Hello, kind-hearted people of Earth and beyond. Welcome to the Kindness Rising podcast, the podcast that aims to inspire people to lead lives that flourish, grounded in kindness. My name is Brandon Blanks. I'm a writer and a stand-up comedian. I'm also the producer and co-host of this show. As always, the Kindness Rising podcast is brought to you by Kindness Rising. Kindness Rising is a community organization committed to inspiring, equipping, and resourcing people to lead lives that flourish, grounded in kindness, and aimed at making the world a better place. For more information, please visit our website at kindnessrising.community. There you can find out about our upcoming events, how to get involved. You can sign up for our newsletter, find out more information about this podcast, or even donate. Kindness Rising is supported solely by the generous contribution of our lovely donors. So if you would like to help support us, please go to kindnessrising.community/donate. Thank you so much for tuning in and enjoy this episode of the Kindness Rising podcast.
Well, hello, friends. Again, welcome to the Kindness Rising podcast. This is Keith Page. I'm here with my best buddy, Brandon Blanks.
How you guys doing?
Brandon, I'm super excited again for the show.
Yeah, it's a nice. I was worried it's raining. It was raining earlier. I was worried that the sound, but that might be kind of cool if there was rain in the background. But
yeah, it would have.
It is not raining anymore.
Well, if you're tuning in, you will know when I introduce our guest how excited I am. We've had amazing guests so far. We've only been doing our ninth episode, and I'm having a great time. I'm so loving doing this with Brandon, and we've had some already just amazing guests, and this guest that we have on this show is just as amazing. It's somebody close and near dear to my heart. It's hard to introduce.
No bias at all.
No bias at all. Hard to introduce her, but her name is Alix Page. And if you recognize the last name, yep, she's Page. And Brandon and I were making lists of people that we thought would be really cool to interview, and we knew that Alix had some really fun stuff coming up in the next couple weeks regarding her music, which you'll hear about. And so I asked him, and Brandon's heard her. In fact, Brandon can get into that he's seen her play, and he knows her, and she knows him. And so I thought that would be cool. And Brandon was like, right on. So first and foremost, hey, Alix.
Hello.
Welcome.
We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Can you hear the sound effects? Can
you hear the sound effects there? Just on ours, yes. And we're sorry you couldn't be here in person, but we know you got a lot going on, but you're just up in LA.
Me too.
And so, rather than, sometimes you and I get on the phone or we grab coffee and I check in, and we could do a quick check-in, but I don't want to, let people into our private conversations about dad bod, the stuff we talk about. But what I'm going to do is let Brandon lead the way, because he's got some fun questions, and it'll be really fun for me to listen to him interview you, and then I'll just chime in from time to time. Cool?
Sweet. Sounds amazing. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, Alix, welcome. Great. So you're going on tour, which is sort of what we're helping you promote, right? You're leaving in how many days?
Yes. I leave on Thursday, so 2 days from today.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that's so exciting. So your dad sort of let me know it's like a West Coast tour, so you're going up north and then dropping down. Where's the tour going to be?
Yep. So it's just, we start in Portland, hit Vancouver. That's as far north as we go. And then Seattle, San Francisco, Orange County, LA, and San Diego. So very quick little, West Coast run.
Nice. And are you doing that independently, or is it like with your label or with another band, or?
Yeah, so I'm opening for an artist named Ella Jane. She's like an up-and-coming indie-pop girly, fellow indie-pop girly. She's amazing. Kind of popped off on TikTok during quarantine, I think. Okay. She's like so good at promoting herself on that app. It's kind of nuts. And then, we became like Instagram mutuals, and then the tour just kind of fell into my lap, and it's just going to be me and my manager and one friend doing merch and photos for me. And then I have the band with me for the LA and Orange County show. Wow. But other than that, it's just me. Yeah.
Awesome. It's very singer-songwriter, just you and the guitar and your manager.
Yes.
And the merch guy.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't forget the merch.
Are the tickets still available? Not that I need any, because I got hooked up, but for listeners that if we get this out in time, that if people want to come check out your shows in Orange County.
Yes. I think all of them are still available. I think we have one sold out night in Seattle, but then we had another show. So there's a new not sold out show in Seattle, and then I think the rest still have tickets. So
okay, we can send people to your website.
Yes, definitely.
Cool.
And so since we're kind of strapped for time, normally we get people for like 2 whole hours and we bore them with our questions. But so I'll make it quick. So I'm going to skip your intro story because, but maybe a 5-minute, how long have you been singing? Your dad let me know about 5 minutes before we started that you have perfect pitch, which is awesome.
I do.
That's like basically a superpower. Like kind of like, it's not like reading minds, but it's like closer to reading minds than not reading minds. So that's really, when did you, let's talk about that. When did you discover you had perfect pitch?
Oh, I want to say I was like 6 or 7 and I had just started taking piano lessons. I think piano lessons and piano knowledge was kind of just the catalyst to unlocking that like language, I think. And I think that kind of just put the pieces together in my brain. I think like that's kind of a thing. If you start an instrument early enough and you have like a family member, that can be how it happens. I think like enough things just come together and your brain makes the magic happen. But I think it was because I was taking ballet at the time. I was doing ballet and rehearsals for Nutcracker had started. And I think I had come home from rehearsals and I started playing the score on piano, like the melodies and stuff. And I just started taking lessons. So obviously that was way out of my piano knowledge realm. But I think just plunking out the melodies, my mom and dad were like, how do you know that? And I was like, I don't know. It just is that. Wow. And then I think because my aunt had it, they wondered. And then I think my piano teacher came over and kind of just was like, oh, what note is this? Plunk. What note is this? Plunk. And then they're like, yep, you have it. And that was kind of it.
The other story around that with your piano teacher was she was originally having Avery go first and you would be in the other room and just hearing, we didn't know this at the time, but you would come in as soon as Avery's lesson was over and like already know what she was going to teach basically.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I think Alix is listening and can hear it already. And then she asked, and she's the one that came and said, I think Alix has perfect pitch.
That's so funny. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
And so your aunt has it, you said? She also has perfect pitch?
Yes, my aunt on my mom's side does.
Very cool. It's like Harry Potter. It's like
right, cool. It's all in the family.
But for people who don't know what perfect pitch is, it means that you can tell what like note you hear. It's like whether it's an A or A sharp or B flat, right? Is that basically
Correct.
what that means? And
yes.
And so how does that manifest in your mind? Like when you hear like a C sharp, how do you know it's a C sharp? Like what does your brain, like in the way that I can look at a color and it just looks different, like what it does.
Yeah. No, and the way that you would look at a shirt that's red and be like, oh, that's a red shirt. That's exactly how it is. Like a C sharp is just a C sharp. And if I hear a song, I can just play the melody back to you. Cause the notes are like, it's almost like, I think because I learned piano, it's almost kind of like typing where like you can kind of imagine how you would type a word in the sense, and you can imagine like how you would play it because you just know where you would put your fingers is kind of how I think of it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
like it's spatial in a way. Yeah. For you, you just know the placements and you know how far so is that how it is? It's like if you hear a melody, you can just memorize it and know exactly how many notes it is with that. Like for me, I'm okay at music. I have to kind of futz around in the dark a little bit with like a melody. If I have a song in my head, I have to like be like and then kind of figure it out. Whereas like if you hear the melody in your head, you can instantly just pluck it on the piano. Is your preferred or both? It does a guitar at this point, or are you just as fluent with guitar as piano?
Honestly, when I'm just like picking out notes, definitely piano. Guitar is like a kind of a beast to learn in that way. Chords are fine, but I think note-wise, piano is way easier for me. So
got it. It's funny. Yeah. I have similar. I play both, but piano is sort of like a calculator for musical. Almost, it's the most like feels like a calculator, or like you said, a typewriter. Man, so that's awesome. Does that help you? Is that? Do you think that like so? Having ultra fluency with notes, does that help you write songs?
The thing is, like, I don't know. I think, like, are you familiar with Jacob Collier and like that world of music?
I am not. No, please tell me.
I feel like there are certain artists, like there's a guy named Jacob Collier who's like a British. He's literally like a wizard. He's like, in my head, he's 200 years old, and he just like is a musical wizard hermit type. He has perfect pitch. He's like 26, I think. And he writes the most insane songs where it's like, he also just knows a lot about theory, and then combined with his perfect pitch, he'll write the most insane harmonies and arrangements, and he uses negative harmony, which I don't even know how to get into, and all these crazy theory things. But I think because I just grew up loving pop music, I've just always been drawn to catchy, simple, quick, and I think even though I have perfect pitch and like theory should come easily, theory is still really hard. And I think maybe it's a worship music thing. Like, I honestly don't know, but I think for whatever reason, maybe I'm lazy about learning guitar, but the simple like 4, 5, 6 chords are, to me, like all I've ever needed and all I probably will ever use. It feels the most natural in writing singer-songwriter pop, indie pop songs to me.
Well, yeah, that's actually what my next question. It's like, no, but so as a songwriter, that's the thing. I know a lot of people that were really like technically great at guitar, but songwriting is a very different skill. You can be a kind of not even a good musician or have no pitch really and still write great songs. People used to say, you know who Connor Oberst is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So people would say he has a bad voice. I disagree, but it's like he kind of has not as polished. He wouldn't be like a cruise ship singer or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like Bob Dylan.
Exactly. So songwriting, that's, I was re-listening to some of your music and some of your new stuff. It's hard on Spotify because I don't pay for it. So it was like shuffling me around to other people, but all the new stuff, 25 was really so great, man. It's got some really awesome rock stuff. And your stuff is, but your songwriting, so I'm like a big snob about clunky, crappy lyrics, and your lyrics are just so beautiful. So, so does a song come to you in lyrical form, or is it the music, or how do you write your songs? That's songwriting is such a different beast than being able to play guitar, piano well. So how does the creative process for you work?
It's a lot of stealing. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the times, it does start with, I have like one lyrical concept, image, or line, or like a couple lines that are like floating around my notes. And then from there, will try to play something on guitar and match the line up to something and then fit it in a chorus or see if it feels like a verse and that kind of thing and go from there. But a lot of the times, honestly, I think especially with playing live, when I listen to music now, a lot of times I'm like, I want to write a song that feels like that, or that will feel like that live. And I think, my song June Gloom kind of was born from that. I listened to the song Overkill by Holly Humberstone, and I was like, man, I want to cover this. And then I was like, I should just write a song like this that I can then play live. And the song actually ended up sounding very, very different from Overkill by Holly Humberstone, but that's like kind of how that one started, is I was literally trying to just steal a feeling from that other song and then make it my own. So
that's awesome. But stealing, you said you steal it and make it your own. It's not like it's something so specific that you're like stealing her lyrics. It's just that emotion, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Because I guess your music does seem very emotional. Like it has an emotional tone that kind of goes throughout. So is that sort of how you start? It's like you start with a feeling you're trying to express too, or like a vibe or a mood. Is that?
Yes, definitely. Once in a while, it literally is like, the phrase like pulling teeth for my last single was in my head for months, and then I made a song out of it. And I think once in a while it's like, an image, a feeling, a line, 2 words, a word. Yeah.
So it's just something that's kind of just inspired you and that's floating around until you have something to do with it. You're not so technical, like I'm going to write a song about this subject and just grind it out. You kind of let little inspiration build and then.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. What's your favorite key?
Oh, good question. No one ever asks that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh man.
Especially as a perfect pitch superhuman. It's a real interesting.
Yeah. Favorite key is hard. I write a lot in C. A lot of my songs happen to be in like literally between like C to E flat. I don't know why, but I feel like my voice just sits in that range really well and kind of just is comfortable there. So a lot of my songs are C, C sharp, D, and E flat. weirdly. But I feel like I love the key of F, and I want to write in the key of F more. But that's always been a favorite of mine. I think when I was little, there was like an American Girl doll movie called Felicity that I used to watch all the time. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like the one with the girl and the horse and stuff. Yep. I was obsessed. And I remember the theme for that is an F. And that was one of the first songs on piano that I like wanted to learn and tried to play, I think.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's why, but I love F for some reason.
Wow, it's a gal and her horse, right. In the key of F, riding through the wild. That's great.
It does. I mean, it kind of it's very like, F is like very free and bright. Like, I don't know, maybe that's like, I don't know. It's
it is.
fun.
Well, as someone who doesn't have perfect pitch, but am weird enough to try and like teach myself, to give myself, I was sort of trying to make my own little mnemonics with the keys, and they really do have like a different vibe. Like each of them have a... Yeah, I come from like a movie background where like different tones affect the films you make, and so it's interesting.
Totally.
You said, it's like free, or like some of them feel more like earthy, or like D is very like foresty to me in a lot of ways.
Yes, right? Yes, definitely.
But and C's like very angelic choir. It feels like a cathedral, and it's just very like clean, bright sort of. I love C.
Yes,
cheesy as it is, it's got some pop. I like pop music, so.
Yeah, exactly. C's amazing.
Very cool. So F wins. Well, we won't insult the other ones, but yeah. And so you use your real voice, in your songs, like, and I mean that like it sound, because as a trained singer, like you went to OSHA, right? So you're a trained singer as well. It's like you could probably sing with any type of voice, but you like to you do the songwriter thing where it's just like very naked raw voice. And you mentioned that your voice sounds good in certain keys. Are there like words? I find that some songwriters like use words that they say like well, or that resonate well with like a certain emotion. Do you have any like favorite words to use, or like? Oh,
interesting. I mean, I don't know if like exact words, but I joke that I only write about like clothes and cars.
Oh, that's cool.
Like,
yeah.
Clothes and cars, and like reference other artists and other songs that other people have written. But I feel like that's like a big theme in like life in general, and a lot of memories are associated with like different clothes and different cars and stuff. So
Orange County's like car culture for sure.
Yes, definitely.
People basically are their cars here. I was explaining to a friend of mine who's not from here. It's like you just think of someone's, like when you see someone's car, you're like, is that Pat? You're like, is that? It's got to be the same car.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
But yeah, okay, cool. So clothes and cars. Have you figured out why that is, or that's just? I mean, that's pretty Orange County, actually, now I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, my like first two songs that I ever put out, funnily enough, the first one was Stripes, which is about a shirt, and the second one was Frank, which is about the song White Ferrari by Frank Ocean, essentially, which is inherently about a car, and then the car from that one became a symbol, and then I referenced a white Mercedes because that was like a whole thing. And I think I will say, when I started writing songs and writing those songs, I was like 16 and all my friends were 17, and that was kind of the first time I was like able to ride in cars with friends without a parent. And that's like a very big milestone as a teenager. It's so much freedom and so much fun memories of high school in cars and listening to music and getting introduced to new music in the car and like all those memories. I think that was a very big stage of my life where that was just a very prevalent thing that was happening internally. So I think that's the reasoning for that one. But
no, the cars and music that's like where a lot of people, you drive like, fast and listen to like fast car driving music. It's, that's
totally
cool. It's like the theater for music, especially like you say, when you're a teenager, it's like freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much so.
So the next question, I was saying, I was talking to this guy at the laundromat about what rock and roll meant back in like the 60s and 70s. So, and you're a little, I'm a little bit older than you. You're Gen Z, as they call it. What does music mean to you? And and also, what do you think it means to your generation, if you have some sort of concept of that in your peer group?
Oh man, I feel like it is always changing. I feel like, especially with TikTok in the last like 2-3 years, it's completely changed everything about the industry and everything about how people write music, how people market their music, like literally everything, how people make money from music. Like it's been insane. But I feel like every artist I talk to still just kind of is facing that battle and is kind of like, yeah, this is my life's work. And it's more to me than just one hit song from an app that teenagers use. And I think it can be a great tool, but it's also hard when a song goes viral, and it's just a weird world to navigate. But all that being said, I think music to me and my artist friends still like means everything. And I think the struggle with that is having people try to like commodify it and make it into a 30-second soundbite that goes viral. And then how does that translate to fans? It's just a very overwhelming world to navigate right now. I don't know if that answers the question, but I feel like it's still, yeah.
I'll segue into this. I came up, it's like, so you were saying you do a lot of live performing, and I feel like live performance is still so, if not more powerful now, because people are so used to, TikTok, which is barely music. It's like it's not real music. It's not a real experience. And so have you found that like live music is kind of that place where it still matters to the people that are there?
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like my music is more well received live. And I think me and my band have a great story, and we have great chemistry on stage, and I think we all look good together. And I think I always am like frustrated when I talk to labels, and I'm always like, I know I don't have the numbers, but like just come see me play a show and come see me like thrive in that environment and see how the songs live in that venue. And like I think that's a way more important part of the job than people give it credit, honestly. And I think it's like so important to me, but it's frustrating when it's so much more about the numbers and the streams and just like the streaming experience, I think.
Yeah, because it's not it's not what it is. Like that's a picture of what the real thing is. Your live performance, right? I mean, the records too, but especially, I think that live is usually better if you are a good live performer. Which I think I was at your first show, right? Am I?
Yes, yeah,
that was wonderful.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, you were awesome, man. What was that for? Sort of a magazine, some LA magazine, right?
Yeah, it's called the Luna Collective. It's actually run by a USC alum. Nice. But yeah, it was like my first live show ever. It was crazy.
No, you have great, you're just great. I'm a huge fan. I said that to Keith when I'm like, you meet people in LA, and when you meet them and they're just like, you're already it, and you just need to keep doing it, and then enough people will see it. And I think then you were like on tour maybe a couple months later. It's true. Like
oh my gosh, yeah.
Sometimes you meet those people, and because of their own self-destructive habits, it doesn't work out. So I will, as I've gotten much older, I used to just imagine that it was a one-way ticket, but you seem like you're doing really well. So yeah, maybe let's segue into this question, which was, every young people, and you have a lot of success early on, which is cool at a young age. But there's this point when you're like a teenager where you're like, is this just something that I'm into? Am I going to be able to, like, was there a moment where you're like, okay, this is actually the thing I'm going to do? Like, I don't have to worry about whether this is my thing, or maybe you still, we always have to worry about like losing relevance or whatever. But was there a moment where you're like, okay, I actually like, it's not an if, it's a, how do I want to go about this sort of thing? Or was there a moment? Or
it's funny because I feel like my dad can probably attest to this, but I feel like this was just always what I was going to do. And I didn't write songs till I was like 16. I feel like I missed all of like the era of kids who go to songwriting camps when they're 10 and are putting on shows. Like, I hated performing when I was little, and I didn't want to write songs. I didn't want to like actually do it, but I just knew that I was somehow. And I don't know why I had that like weird confidence as a kid, but I just like, this was always going to be it for me. And then I think when I wrote songs, it all just clicked. And I think for a while, you can be a singer for as long as you want, but I think at some point you have to, if you want to be an artist, like you really have to start writing songs now in this day and age. You have to kind of do all of it. And so I think that really unlocked a lot of doors for me. And then I think, I met a lot of the right people at the right time. I think if anything in the last like month, honestly, I feel like as I'm being hit with adulthood and after like one big tour and not coming back to school and trying to navigate being a young adult and doing sessions again and still not making that much money from it, I think I've in the last little bit been like, damn, like how do you actually keep doing this, and when does it start making money, and when does it get easier, and when do you feel like you can just do whatever you want? Because right now I'm still independent, and it's still very like, it's a grind for sure. And I think that's like the hardest part of it now is like, again, all my friends see like a big amazing tour, and like I'm still so grateful for that, and it was still so amazing. But it is weird now coming down from that and being like, okay, how do you keep this going and keep the momentum going and turn it into an actual like financially stable career is the crazy thing. And all my friends who are studying to be doctors and lawyers, like they're going to have stable jobs for the rest of their lives. And that's like crazy to me. Like the concept of just having a stable, predictable job is like the most appealing thing ever. And then, right, like music just is not that job. And I still don't want to do anything else, but it's just a crazy thing to kind of realize more and more with people and more with this, the way streaming works and just money and stuff. It's crazy, but
yeah, and it really does cloud the need to like support yourself doing your art, because it's like, I come from the film world where it's like, theoretically you technically could be a songwriter and like do it on the weekends, where it's like movies just cost too much or whatever. Like you literally can't. I mean, albums cost a lot to record too, so there's always some money, and just supporting yourself is a lot, and the tours cost money because you got to pay a lot of people, and people don't pay for music as much, which is, it's hard to. But yeah, but it sounds like it doesn't matter, that the money, if the money, it will work itself out. It's like, you're going to keep producing music no matter what. And so that's. Yeah,
I think perspective is huge on that. And I'm keeping, like, at this point, money is not the goal right now. The goal is just to keep doing what I love while I can, and like play some fun shows and see some cool cities and like all this stuff. And I think it's important to remind myself of that, but it is just tough. It's a tough reality. I was thinking about like CDs the other day, and I was like, damn, CDs cost like $38 to print stuff on, sell them for, or 38 like cents to print on, and then like back in the day, and then you sell it for $15. And streaming, like, you don't even get 38 cents a stream. It's like 0.003 cents per stream, and it's crazy how different it would be if it was just back to physical stuff. But streaming is just insane.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I'm usually pretty anti-social media generally, just because for me, I just feel like the algorithm or the success, there's really no like tangible feedback. Like, I feel like you post stuff and you don't like learn from your successes or your failures. But do you use social media like to get positively? Do you find that it has positive effects on like growing fans and getting your music out there?
Definitely. I like love social media, as draining and overwhelming as it can be. I think it's a really great tool, and honestly, if you use it creatively, a really fun tool. I also just got really lucky with the Gracie tour, because her fans are the same Taylor Swift, Harry Styles fans, who are just so dedicated and so lovely and fun and invested. And so I think they just help so much and respond to everything and make memes, and it's just like, it's been really, really fun just seeing the things they come up with. And I just feel honored to be surrounded by so many cute, like, sweet young fans who care so much. But I think, I feel like social media definitely brings you closer to fans if you use it creatively. I would say use it like fun and often, and people do actually enjoy it. I don't know if your dad mentioned, I'm a stand-up comedian these days, and so I don't do any social media for that, because I just kind of wanted to get good at the thing, which is doing it live first. Before I met a lot of comedians starting off that like had performed 4 times and they're already like calling themselves comedians on Instagram. I'm like, come on, man, you're not. Oh geez,
but you know what I mean? It's like, even if you've only done one thing. So, but that's good to hear that you find it enjoyable, and it's actually like a creative thing that I can maybe not be as cynical about. But because I gotta start promoting myself soon, now that I think I'm good or whatever. but yeah, man. So it's music is a. Do you find do you collaborate with a lot of people?
Yes. I feel like more and more so lately. It's been super fun. I've been doing a lot of like features on other people's songs, and that's been amazing because I just love singing harmonies and stuff. And then a lot of co-writing, a lot of different sessions. Playing with a band is in itself like an active collaboration, I would say. And it's super fun when I've known the guys for so long. I feel like every time it's just a fun hang, plus music we all love, and it's just fun. So yeah.
So your band, when you play with your band, you're still just Alix Page, right? It's not like.
Yes, we joke that with the band it's Alix Page and Friends, because
cool.
We literally are just besties, and we have been since high school. So it is really like just like a family affair, and it's been so much fun to have them along for the ride. So
that's good. It keeps the band drama to a minimum, I'm sure, or maybe to a stable level that can be dealt with.
Yeah, it's good now. It's great.
Got you screaming in a hotel room with each other. No, but it's that's the fun of it. It's part of the music. Steve Jobs said that in an interview about how like the Beatles were great because it was 4 people together making like one thing that was like they separately they weren't as drummer's good. But yeah, do your other bandmates have bands that they do separate things, or?
Yeah, my bassist actually has an album coming out tonight. It's under the name Big Website. I think it's called, what is it called? Great. It's like a bass ambient album. And it started as like a bit because he's kind of known for just amazing bass like tone and chords and doing stuff that doesn't sound like bass on a bass, and he's a wizard for that. It's called Fragments for Bass Guitar is what the album's called. But the first LA show we played with Gracie, we started the tracks and it wasn't playing at any of our in-ears, and my band was already on stage, and when we couldn't hear Andrew, my bassist just stayed on stage and kept kind of just playing. And it ended up being an accidental 10-minute noise set just by Andrew while we got the tracks together. And so now that partially inspired him now making an album that's just that, and it's amazing.
So it's just him trying to make tonal stuff with just a bass.
Yeah, it's like an ambient album on bass, pretty much. Yeah. And
his band is called Big Website.
Yes.
That's awesome. It's a great
project. Yeah.
It's a great name.
And then my drummer just plays drums for everybody, anybody and everybody. So it's great. Yeah.
That good rhythm.
Yeah.
He's always late though. It's just terrible. Drummers. No.
Yeah. How'd you know? He is. Really, it's a running bit too. That Caleb's always asleep or always late, and it's so funny. We love him though.
No, that's when you guys are playing which shows together? LA and Orange County?
Yes, Constellation Room and the Troubadour.
Nice. I think I'm going to be at the Constellation Room with your dad. Fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, Troubadour is a great venue. Friends of mine played back in the day there. It's a storied room, you know.
Yeah, I cannot wait. It's going to be so fun.
A lot of vibes, a ghost there. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so let me see some other questions. Oh, here's one, a quick one. Favorite sound? Do you have a favorite non-musical sound?
Ooh. I mean, this is a really specific one, but
no, that's good. That's good.
So specific, but I have a voice memo of it actually. When I was on tour in Europe, we were walking through Copenhagen, I believe. Beautiful city, so stunning, so clean. Me and my mom were walking through it, and I got a voice memo that's just our feet walking, plus these amazing church bells in the background. They're actually, I'm realizing now, they were ringing in F, which is partially why I recorded them. Fun fact. But it's the most beautiful, just amazing random sound from Copenhagen, May 2022. But
yeah. What's the BPM on the steps? Is there
Good question.
Let's see. That's cool. You should put that sound. You should put that in one of your songs. I'm sure you will someday. That's cool.
I know. I think I recorded it with the intention of doing that, and then I don't think it fit in the one that I was thinking about. But we love putting in funny little sounds and hiding them in all of my songs. So.
Yeah, I heard Billie Eilish in an interview said one of the songs has just a sound of a traffic signal crossing beep from an Australian. Yes. Yeah, right. I don't.
I think that's the snare in Bad Guy or something. I think you're totally right.
Yeah, which is cool. It's the real world. It's cool. That's why it probably sounds familiar because you're oh, why have I heard this? It's a very subliminal sound. Cool. Great answer.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite and least favorite part of just the musician tour process?
The tour process.
Yeah, performing, the live thing.
I mean, all of it. I think favorite part, the shows have to be part of it because I love playing music live, and I feel the songs take on kind of a new life in a venue, which is a whole new thing, and hearing voices singing them too just adds a whole nother layer to everything. And then just the fan interactions that happen at the shows also is always so much fun. But then the behind the scenes too, my band and I, whenever we get together, just talk on and on and on about all the stories and all the inside jokes and all the bits and all the crazy chaotic stuff you just cannot predict and can't explain to people outside of the tour. That is so priceless, and it's there are so many things too that can only happen on tour. We joke that we stopped in Omaha one night, I think between Colorado and Minneapolis. I don't know, maybe that's not right, but we stopped in Omaha one night, got to the Airbnb. It was in kind of a bad area, and we ended up going to a hotel and ordering Chick-fil-A and watching watching like some random movie in the hotel room. But it was like 7 of us in this hotel room in Omaha eating Chick-fil-A, watching like Cars. And really, again, this only would happen on a tour. Like, that's just so hilarious in and of itself. Like, the most random group of people, the most random city ever. Just like, it was so funny. But again, so many just crazy things like that you just cannot replace. And just, and
they just happen on tour. It's just like, this happens to be the weirdest thing that you've ever seen, but it just worked out that way, right? It's like sort of
exactly.
That's what we had to do. We just had to be weird.
There were so many nights too where we would just put on aux like a random freestyle beat from YouTube, and everybody in the Sprinter, again, like 11 p.m. driving for 9 hours, my drummer and my merch guy just ripping on like a freestyle and having it be so bad but so hilarious, and you're all delirious and you're all sleepy and you all are just on this high of playing shows. And again, like, I've known my band since we were 14, so it's just like the chaos from that alone. Like, my poor manager was just babysitting us the whole time. Like, he had fun, but it's just
you
just
lock
like,
into those 14-year-old patterns when you're with your high school friends.
And like,
I know.
The amount of inside jokes you have already with just that amount of time having known each other is just so funny. I just love those guys.
And that's great that you can trust them too. Like, you've known them for so long that they're,
Oh yeah, totally. I feel like, good segue. I feel like the hardest part of touring and stuff is just the highs and lows can be really difficult to manage. And I feel like I didn't know about that, honestly, until the Europe tour, because I was playing acoustic by myself.
You mean like the highs and lows on like your energy levels, or just like on the...
Yeah. Just energy levels, and the high of like, I mean, it just is a weird thing. Like, you go on stage and you have like 800 teenage girls just telling you, you're so pretty, I love you, you're the most talented person ever, I love you, play this song, I love you, oh my god, like all this stuff. And then the next day is just off day, it's cloudy and you're alone, and it's just kind of lonely and sad, and everyone on Instagram just sees that you're having fun and playing this a lot of shows in Europe, but they don't know like all this and this and this, and then having to go up the next night and just do the same thing. And then you feel fine because you got your ego boosted for 30 minutes and like you feel great, but then it keeps happening. It's a really, really weird pattern that I had to deal with in Europe. But I feel like the US tour, I didn't even know that was a thing because the band just kind of kept it lighthearted. And again, I just love them and trust them. And it was just very fun and easy. But then I feel like the highs and lows of just being up there alone too. And just, it's a lot. It's just a lot of energy that kind of goes untapped. And then you feel it kind of happen. You're like, wait, what is... Now I have to just go back to my hotel room, and like it's just a weird feeling.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big. No, most people don't experience that much. Like tons of people to just you alone by yourself with your thoughts. Like it's huge.
Yeah,
it's good that you're mindful of it. It sounds like, and you don't. It just seems like you realize it is kind of part of it, right? Because I mean, it would be exhausting to have them all follow you to the hotel room, right? That's the true nightmare. But it's just like those rests, or like you said, also with the Instagram, your friends think you're like having all this great time, but you might just be like too tired to get up, and you're like, oh god, my hair is not going to look good tonight, or whatever. It's like
exactly.
It's very.
And I think now I know reading helps. But like reading before a show is always like really good and really calming, and kind of gets you out of that. And but again, I feel like just having a band, like you're not in it alone, and you have other people just like shouldering that energy with you. It's just like, it's a lot of attention too. It's just a kind of a weird, and it feels good, but then it's also a weird kind of like pressure thing where they love you so much that you're like, oh my god, like what if I don't know, it's just a weird thing. There's this one like Janis Joplin biography that had like a letter from her writing to her sister. And one quote that she said was, I'm so scared that everyone's going to realize one day that I'm just me. And I think about that all the time because it's like such a true thing with artists. Like I'm not even like at a certain level yet, but just, I can't imagine how Taylor Swift feels like writing these songs. And then she's like, I'm literally just me. I'm just a 33-year-old person, like writing my songs and doing the things that I love. And everyone treats you like a god. It's a really crazy thing. yeah.
I've heard it described, it's like sort of this role-playing game you're forced into with your fans sometimes. They're like, you're the most amazing person ever. And you're like, no, like, I'm just someone in line for the bathroom too. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I mean, no, on one level, you know, you are that person to them also. It's, you know, but...
Yeah. My drummer always keeps me humble because people will come up to me like crying, sobbing, saying like I saved their lives, and I'm like, oh my god, like what? And my drummer will just like kind of laugh because he's like, I know you and I love you and I think you're amazing, but like you're just you, and like I've seen you fuck up on stage when like you were 15, and like I've seen you like, so it's just really funny to have those. It's really important to have those people too who've known you for a really long time and just know you as you and not like a person who's written XYZ or played XYZ venues and just, yeah. I think that's really important.
Or saved your life. That's crazy. Someone told you literally saved their life.
Yeah.
Did you get that a lot? That's awesome.
Got it like a few times. Yeah, it's always pretty wild to hear. Yeah.
So when you go on tour, like, you'll have like people know you from like your social media stuff, and then you go to tour and meet those people. That's like really cool way that sort of is exciting, right? It's sort of like these people you may have interacted with that you didn't know, and then they get to see you in real life, and they're like your family that's been waiting for you. Is that kind of
very
a cool part
much?
Of it? Yeah.
Yes, totally. I mean, even now with TikTok, like one girl I remember so clearly, it was like right before tour, and she was like, I'm gonna bring you a drawing at the New York show. What do you want me to draw for you? And I sent her this like dumb Mike Wazowski meme and a picture of my cat, and I was like, draw these. And then she came to the New York show and she handed me a card, and inside were these drawings of the Mike Wazowski meme and my cat. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's Lauren from TikTok. Like she da-da-da-da-da. And then like it happened. And seeing that is crazy too. And you have this relationship with them that just like exists on the internet. And then it's really fun. I mean, I feel like they're genuinely all like my friends, and it's a really sweet relationship, I think. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's something hopeful for me, as Keith can say. I am the social media, almost the most negative person about social media probably in life. But that's just bitterness, maybe.
Alix, I have a question. So
yeah.
I know you at one point were somebody, you didn't know Gracie, but you covered one of her songs, but then she heard it, right?
Yes.
Was that the original introduction of how she met you or knew of you? Originally?
Yes, that and I had happened really weird timing. I had just done an interview with her cousin for a magazine that her cousin also runs, and so I think through that she'd heard of me first, and then I posted the video and she saw it and put the dots together and was like, oh, this is that girl whose song I already heard, but posted this cover and yada yada. But yeah. So
I'm wondering then, are you meeting some young, a little bit younger than you musicians who are doing your music?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
And how does that feel to all of a sudden be like, oh wait, I was just doing a cover of Gracie's, and now I'm meeting young artists doing covers of my stuff?
It's really cool and it's really inspiring. And I think, again, like a lot of the times people have to choose openers who will help them sell out shows and who are like famous on TikTok because they have a big following and all this stuff. And I think Gracie just really, I mean, didn't have to, because all the shows are already sold out because she's like that. But also because she just was like, no, I'm just going to go for somebody who I really believe in, who I really just genuinely think is amazing, and picked me. So it's really inspiring to even just think about the freedom to do that and the freedom to say no to people your label suggests or whoever, and just really commit to pouring into a young person. And I just think I'm so grateful for her doing that, because she could have picked literally anybody. And at the time, I think I had like 3,000 Instagram followers, and like it was like crazy for her to do that for me. Like pretty unheard of, pretty out of the blue, very, very insane. So
yeah, what was the process on you like getting that actually? Like, how did she contact you? Was it
It was crazy. So I actually booked another tour, doing 7 shows with a different artist called Claude, who I also love, and was so stoked to join on tour. And that would have been like 7 shows, acoustic, not getting paid very much, but just classic being an opener. And I was already like super starstruck about that. And then booked that, announced that, the whole thing. And then I remember I was shopping with my boyfriend, and my manager put me in the group chat with him and my co-manager, who we very rarely like include in our everyday like catch ups and stuff. And I was like, he texted me just Alix Page, and I was like, Cole Silverman, like, haha, like what's going on? And he was just like, we just got the full offer for the entire Gracie Abrams North America tour. And I was like, what? And I remember I like told him we had to leave, so I could call my manager, called him, and he was like, yeah, we gotta just cancel those other shows. Like, this is just the perfect tour. And like, it was a complete, I could bring the band. It was like paying more. It was just a full run, and it was Gracie, who I've been a fan of for so long, and it was just really literally the dream scenario. So that's how that happened. It was pretty crazy.
That's awesome. Where were you guys shopping? You're just like at H&M or something. It's like your dreams coming true.
Like shopping. We were actually shopping in Melrose, and we were actually in like Tiffany & Co. and he bought me a really sweet necklace, and then we got that, and I was like, wow, that's an insane day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
dreams really do come true, folks.
Yeah,
for now.
Literally.
And then the next day you're alone in your hotel room. Right. Then you're stressed about getting on tour. You're like, oh my God, what do I wear? All right, I think
I called my mom and my sister, and I was like, guys, like the college shows got canceled. They were like, what? Like, what happened? And I was like, I'm doing the entire Gracie Abrams tour. And they were like, is this a joke? Like, what? And I was like, no. And then I called my drummer, and I was like, you got to drop out of school with me. We're going on tour with Gracie Abrams. And he was like, oh my God. And that was that.
Flipped the table he was at, and that's. I hope.
And then I heard it through the grapevine. No, just kidding. Then she let me know, and it was just so cool. It was just such a fun thing to see happen for you, Alix.
Yeah,
it was very, very cool. Yeah.
And are you guys? Did you guys get to hang out a lot during the tour, or were you guys in your own separate worlds, or you and Gracie?
Mixed in. I mean, they were on a bus, and so they like pretty much, after they play the show, get in the bus and then drive in the middle of the night. And so we were in a Sprinter, my manager was driving, so we pretty much like stayed in hotels or Airbnbs after every show, and then drove in the mornings.
Got it.
So not like a ton of overlap there, but every venue and stuff, like we always saw them and said hi, and they were always, her and her team are just so sweet. Like they're all just the nicest, coolest, most fun people to be around. So we got so lucky there too.
That's great when people that you're like working with that you admire, or like your heroes, are really cool and not, not disappointing you, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Completely.
That's great, man. Well, we know you had a time limit, so we're coming up on 6:45, I think. But
yes.
Hey, in your newsletter, you mentioned being excited for new music. Will any of that be being played, or are you going to do your current stuff? And anything you want to tell us about? Any hints about your new music?
Yeah. What's coming up? Plug yourself.
Yes. I think for the shows where it's just me, there's a good chance I'll be playing a song called Red Rover that's unreleased on a lot of the shows. And then with the band, we're playing a song called Goose that is also not released. But yeah, I feel like the set list when I'm playing by myself kind of changes every night, just depending on what I feel like playing. And in the moment, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to play a cover instead of that one, and kind of just mess around with it. So, but yeah, definitely some unreleased stuff, which I'm very excited to share and put out there. It's going to be very fun. But yeah, Goose and Red Rover should be expected on some.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And follow you on, what are your preferred social, if someone wants to connect with you that listens?
Yeah. Instagram, my TikTok is Alix Rage, and Twitter is a great one. I've honestly been loving Twitter, weirdly. Yeah, those are kind of the main ones.
All right, cool. Keith, I think I'm out of fun questions.
Let's see.
Only unfun questions. Social security number, credit score, and a mailing
credit card number, name of your first pet.
The security questions. That's a great bit.
How about this, Alix? Since Brandon and I are always trying to highlight kindness, what's something that you've learned recently about kindness, or how do you make it an aim to make sure kindness is a big part of your life? How do you move and groove in that world now?
I mean, on tour, honestly, kindness just goes such a long way. Like, I feel like sound guys, every time, like you can just tell when like you learn everybody's name and you say thank you and you say please when you're asking for more bass in your ears, like people just notice that and don't get it that often. So people always appreciate it. And I feel like Gracie's team like was happy that we made them look good and didn't boss people around and weren't dicks to the sound guys, because then it reflects badly on them. So I think that was like huge for us, just learning like this really does go a long way and it really does like show up more than you think. I also think with my fan, I don't even like saying a fan base, but like with my fan base and like my band and the way we all got started with recording in Long Beach and stuff, it is very much about community, I think, and just like being loyal to the people who show up for you and playing on people's things and like collaborating and responding to different DMs and like sending. I just think it's a really fun thing if you really dip your toes into just trying to be as personable as possible and just show up to the people who matter to you. I think like even going to shows, like my friends who actually come to shows and like respond to things and actually like it just goes a long way, I think. And you remember it for sure. And I think fans especially too, like you can tell when they feel loved and they feel seen, that you saw their story or replied to their TikTok or anything like that. Like it really matters, and I genuinely just love doing it. And I think it's a really important part of the job to just make people feel included, because that's how you keep fans forever, is just like making them feel loved and special and included, for sure. Yeah,
that's great. Cool. Very cool. Well, Alix, I'm going to let Brandon do the final sign off, but thank you for letting us interview you and coming on the show. And of course, nothing makes me more excited than getting to listen to you and Brandon chop it up about, all the music stuff. So Brandon, what do you want to say to close this?
Thank you so much for coming. I'm just getting started with my own singing songwriting, so it's really inspiring to talk to somebody who's like many, many moons ahead of me. So thank you for the inspiration. And, just keep
thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was really, really great. Hopefully we'll have you back sometime soon and we'll hear how the tour went.
Yes, definitely. I would love that. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. All right, Alix. Love you.
Love you too.
See ya.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
As always, the Kindness Rising podcast is brought to you by Kindness Rising. Kindness Rising is a community organization committed to inspiring, equipping, and resourcing people to lead lives that flourish, grounded in kindness, and aimed at making the world a better place. For more information, please visit our website at kindnessrising.community. There you can find out about our upcoming events, how to get involved. You can sign up for our newsletter, find out more information about this podcast, or even donate. Kindness Rising is supported solely by the generous contribution of our lovely donors. So if you would like to help support us, please go to kindnessrising.community/donate.